How does deductive reasoning differ from inductive reasoning?
Deductive reasoning, often used in mathematics and philosophy, uses general principles to examine specific cases. Inductive reasoning is the method of discovering general principles by close examination of specific cases. Inductive reasoning first became important to science in the 1600s, when Francis Bacon (1561 to 1626), Sir Isaac Newton (1642 to 1727), and their contemporaries began to use the results of specific experiments to infer general scientific principles.
What is the most popular search engine?
As of 2010, the most popular search engine was Google. The following chart shows the market share of the top 5 search engines.
What is a tektite?
Tektites are silica-rich glass objects, rocks, found scattered in selected regions of Earth's surface. They are generally black, oblong, teardrop, or dumbbell-shaped, and several centimeters in length. They are formed from molten rock resulting when a meteorite, asteroid, or comet fragment impacts Earth's surface. The molten rock is hurled high into the atmosphere, where it rapidly cools into its unique shape and physical characteristics. Their mode of formation is considered indisputable evidence of such impacts. Tektites range from 0.7 to 35 million years in age.
What are some environmental advantages to recycling electronics?
Recycling 1 million desktop computers prevents the release of greenhouse gases equivalent to the annual emissions of 16,000 passenger cars. Recycling 1 million laptop computers saves the energy equivalent to the electricity used by 3,657 U.S. homes in 1 year. Recycling the 414,000 tons of electronics that were collected in the United States in 2007 prevented the release of greenhouse gases equivalent to the annual emissions of more than 178,000 cars. 1 metric ton of circuit boards can contain 40 to 800 times the concentration of gold ore mined in the United States. 1 metric ton of circuit boards can contain 30 to 40 times the concentration of copper ore mined in the United States. Recycling 1 million cell phones could recover 7,500 pounds, 3,402 kilograms of gold, which could be used in new products rather than having to mine more gold.
What is a slide rule, and who invented it?
Up until about 1974, most engineering and design calculations for buildings, bridges, automobiles, airplanes, and roads were done on a slide rule. A slide rule is an apparatus with movable scales based on logarithms, which were invented by John Napier, Baron of Merchiston, and published in 1614. The slide rule can, among other things, quickly multiply, divide, square root, or find the logarithm of a number. In 1620, Edmund Gunter, 1581–1626, of Gresham College, London, England, described an immediate forerunner of the slide rule, his logarithmic line of numbers. William Uhtred, 1574–1660, rector of Aldbury, England, made the first rectilinear slide rule in 1621. This slide rule consisted of two logarithmic scales that could be manipulated together for calculation. His former pupil, Richard Delamain, published a description of a circular slide rule in 1630, and received a patent about that time for it, 3 years before Uhtred published a description of his invention. At least one source says that Delamain published in 1620. Uhtred accused Delamain of stealing his idea, but evidence indicates that the inventions were probably arrived at independently. The earliest existing straight slide rule using the modern design of a slider moving in a fixed stock dates from 1654. A wide variety of specialized slide rules were developed by the end of the 17th century for trades such as masonry, carpentry, and excise tax collecting. Peter Marc Roget, 1779–1869, best known for his thesaurus of English words and phrases, invented a log-log slide rule for calculating the roots and powers of numbers in 1814. In 1967, Hewlett-Packard produced the first pocket calculators. Within a decade, slide rules became the subject of science trivia and collectors' books. Interestingly, slide rules were carried on 5 of the Apollo space missions, including a trip to the Moon. They were known to be accurate and efficient in the event of a computer malfunction.
When was spontaneous combustion first recognized?
Spontaneous combustion is the ignition of materials stored in bulk. This is due to internal heat buildup caused by oxidation, generally a reaction in which electrons are lost. Specifically when oxygen is combined with a substance, or when hydrogen is removed from a compound. Because this oxidation heat cannot be dissipated into the surrounding air, the temperature of the material rises until the material reaches its ignition point and bursts into flame. A Chinese text written before 290 CE recognized this phenomenon in a description of the ignition of stored oiled cloth. The first Western acknowledgement of spontaneous combustion was by J.P.F. Duhamel in 1757. When he discussed the gigantic conflagration of a stack of oil-soaked canvas sails drying in the July sun. Before spontaneous combustion was recognized, such events were usually blamed on arsonists.
What are the main components found in motor vehicle exhaust?
The main components of exhaust gas are nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and water. Smaller amounts of nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, aldehydes, and other products of incomplete combustion are also present. The most important air pollutants, in order of amount produced, are carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and hydrocarbons.
What is cinnabar?
Cinnabar is the main ore of the mineral mercury. Its cinnamon to scarlet red color makes it a colorful mineral. It is produced primarily in the United States, California, Oregon, Texas, and Arkansas, Spain, Italy, and Mexico. It is often used as a pigment.
Why do cats have whiskers?
The function of a cat's whiskers is not fully understood. They are thought to have something to do with the sense of touch. Removing them can disturb a cat for some time. Some people believe that the whiskers act as antennae in the dark, enabling the cat to identify things it cannot see. The whiskers may help the cat to pinpoint the direction from which an odor is coming. In addition, the cat is thought to point some of its whiskers downwards, to guide it when jumping or running over uneven terrain at night.
How many leaves are on a mature tree?
Leaves are one of the most conspicuous parts of a tree. A maple tree, genus Acer, with a trunk 3 feet, 1 meter, wide has approximately 100,000 leaves. Oak, genus Quercus, trees have approximately 700,000 leaves. Mature American elm, Ulmus americana, trees can produce more than 5 million leaves per season.
What are the functions of the root system?
The major functions of roots are, 1. Anchorage in soil. 2. Storage of energy resources such as the carrot and sugar beet. 3. Absorption of water and minerals from the soil. And 4. Conduction of water and minerals to and from the shoot. The roots store the food, energy resources, of the plant. The food is either used by the roots themselves or digested, and the products of digestion are transported back up through the phloem to the above ground portions of the plant. The roots of some plants are harvested as food for human consumption. Plant hormones are synthesized in the meristematic regions of the roots and transported upward in the xylem to the aerial part of the plant to stimulate growth and development.
How does the enhanced Fujita scale differ from the original Fujita scale?
The National Weather Service adapted the enhanced Fujita F scale on February 1, 2007 to rate tornadoes. The enhanced scale has 6 categories, F0 to F5, representing increasing levels of damage. It was revised to better estimate wind speeds by considering different types of construction and low populated areas with few structures. The enhanced scale offers more detailed descriptions of potential damages by using 28 damage indicators based on different building structures and vegetation.
Why are Dalmatians firehouse dogs?
Before automobiles, coaches and carriages were often accompanied by dogs that kept horses company and guarded them from theft. Dalmatians were particularly well known for the strong bond they formed with horses, and firemen, who often owned the strongest and speediest horses in the area, kept the dogs at the station to deter horse thieves. Although fire engines have replaced horses, Dalmatians have remained a part of firehouse life, both for the appeal of these beautiful dogs and for their nostalgic tie to the past.
Which island region has the greatest concentration of active volcanoes?
In the early 1990s, 1,133 seamounts, submerged mountains, and volcanic cones were discovered in and around Easter Island. Many of the volcanoes rise more than a mile above the ocean floor. Some are close to 7,000 feet, 2,134 meters, tall. Although their peaks are still 2,500 to 5,000 feet, 760 to 1,500 meters, below the surface of the sea.
Which first aid measures can be used for a bite by a black widow spider?
The black widow spider, Latrodectus mactans, is common throughout the United States. Its bite is severely poisonous, but no first aid measures are of value. Age, body size, and degree of sensitivity determine the severity of symptoms, which include an initial pinprick with a dull numbing pain, followed by swelling. An ice cube may be placed over the bite to relieve pain. Between 10 and 40 minutes after the bite, severe abdominal pain and rigidity of stomach muscles develop. Muscle spasms in the extremities, ascending paralysis, and difficulty in swallowing and breathing follow. The mortality rate is less than 1%, but anyone who has been bitten should see a doctor. The elderly, infants, and those with allergies are most at risk, and should be hospitalized.
Are turtles endangered?
Worldwide turtle populations have declined due to several reasons, including habitat destruction, exploitation of species by humans for their eggs, leather, and meat, and their becoming accidentally caught in the nets of fishermen. In particular danger are sea turtles, such as Kemp's Ridley sea turtle. Lepidoscelis kempii, which is believed to have a population of only a few hundred. Other species include the Central American river turtle, Dermatemes mawii, the green sea turtle, Cheloneomidas, and the leatherback sea turtle, Dermochelis coriacea. Endangered tortoises include the ungulated tortoise, Geochelone inophora, the desert tortoise, Gopherus agassizii, and the Galapagos tortoise, Geochelone elephantopus.
How much paper is recycled in the United States?
In 2008, 43 million tons, or 56%, of all paper used was recovered for recycling. This amounts to 340 pounds of paper for every man, woman, and child in the United States.
What wood is the favorite for butcher's blocks?
The preferred wood for butcher's blocks is the American sycamore, Platanus occidentalis. Also known as American plane tree, buttonball, buttonwood, plane tree, and water beech, because of its toughness. It is also used as a veneer for decorative surfaces as well as for railroad ties, fence posts, and fuel.
How long do animals, in particular mammals, live?
Of the mammals, humans and fin whales live the longest. Below is the maximum lifespan for several animal species.
What are the sizes of silicon chips?
Small silicon chips may be no more than 1/16 square by 1/30 thick and hold up to tens of thousands of transistors. Large chips, the size of a postage stamp, can contain hundreds of millions of transistors.
Do loud noises cause avalanches?
Avalanches are not triggered by noise, but they are the only natural hazard that may be triggered by individuals walking, skiing, snowmobiling, and snowboarding on unstable snow. Many avalanches occur naturally without human provocation. Avalanches are great masses of snow that slide down mountainsides. The snow may be powdery, sliding over compacted older snow, slabs of snow that roll down the slope, or a combination of ice and snow from the slope, including rocks and other debris. Dry slab avalanches are the most dangerous. traveling at speeds of 60 to 80 miles, 97 to 129 kilometers per hour.
How does tennis elbow differ from golfer's elbow?
Tennis elbow and golfer's elbow are both injuries caused by overuse of the muscles of the forearm. Tennis elbow, also called lateral epicondylitis, affects the muscles of the forearm, which attach to the bony prominence on the outside of the elbow. Golfer's elbow, also called medial epicondylitis, affects the muscles of the forearm that attach to the inside of the elbow.
What is wormwood?
Artemisia absinthium, known as wormwood, is a hardy, fragrant perennial that grows to heights of 2 to 4 feet, 0.6 to 1.2 meters. Wormwood is native to Europe but has been widely naturalized in North America. Absinthe, a liquor, is distilled and flavored using this plant. Absinthe was banned in the United States in the early 1900s because it was considered habit-forming and hazardous to one's health. A revival of absinthe began in the 1990s, when countries in the European Union began to reauthorize its manufacture and sale. It was approved for sale in the United States in 2007, but only if classified as thujone-free. Thujone is a chemical found in wormwood that was reputed to cause hallucinations.
What is the composition of U.S. coins currently in circulation?
During colonial times, coins were composed of gold, silver, and copper. The U.S. Mint produced gold coins until 1933, during the Great Depression. The silver in quarters and dimes was replaced in 1966. Today, nickels, dimes, quarters, and half dollars are composed of copper and nickel. They have a copper core and an outer layer composed of a 75% copper, 25% nickel alloy. Pennies, once copper coins, are now composed of copper-plated zinc.
Where do most tsunamis occur?
Tsunamis occur most frequently in the Pacific Ocean, although they also occur in the Caribbean and Mediterranean Seas and the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. The Sumatra tsunami, which followed a strong earthquake, 9.0 on the Richter scale, in the Indian Ocean on December 26, 2004, is perhaps the most devastating on record. The tsunami had waves up to 100 feet, 30 meters, in height. Damage and deaths were recorded in 11 countries with a total of more than 230,000 people being killed. Indonesia, 168,000 people killed, Thailand, Malaysia, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, and the eastern coast of Africa in Somalia, Kenya, and Tanzania all recorded damage and deaths from this event.
What are luffa sponges?
Luffas are non-woody vines of the cucumber family. A fibrous skeleton lies inside of the fruit, and this structure is often used as a sponge. The term luffa is commonly used when this material is used as a sponge. Dishcloth gourd, rag gourd, and vegetable sponge are other popular names for this sponge.
How has flight contributed to the success of insects?
Flight is one key to the great success of insects. An animal that can fly can escape many predators, find food and mates, and disperse to new habitats much faster than an animal that must crawl about on the ground.
How is there enough room in the chest cavity to accommodate a pair of lungs filled with air?
A pair of lungs filled with air contains the same volume of air as in 8 large soda bottles, more than 1.5 gallons, 6 liters. In order to accommodate this volume, muscles raise and expand the rib cage while the diaphragm, a domed muscular sheet under the lungs, flattens with each breath inhaled.
What is the environmental impact of disposing electronics in landfills?
The EPA believes that the disposal of electronics in properly managed municipal solid waste landfills does not threaten human health and the environment. However, recycling electronics will decrease the demand for additional mining of valuable resources and manufacturing new products. Recycling electronics recovers valuable materials, such as copper and engineered plastics, and as a result reduces greenhouse gas emissions, pollution, saves energy, and saves resources by extracting fewer raw materials from the earth.
How much damage might it have done?
Asteroid 2002 M7, a rock 230 feet, 70 meters long, is estimated to have the capability of releasing the energy equivalent of a 4-megaton nuclear bomb.
What is meant by the wind chill factor?
The wind chill factor, or wind chill index, is a number that expresses the cooling effect of moving air at different temperatures. It indicates in a general way how many calories of heat are carried away from the surface of the body. The National Weather Service began reporting the equivalent wind chill temperature along with the actual air temperature in 1973. For years it was believed that the index overestimated the wind's cooling effect on skin. In 2001 to 2002 a new wind chill index was instituted, and additional corrections are expected in the next few years. Below is the official wind chill chart from the National Weather Service as of 2009.
What is the relationship between ancient plants and coal formation?
Coal, formed from ancient plant material, is organic. Most of the coal mined today was formed from prehistoric remains of primitive land plants, particularly those of the Carboniferous period, which occurred approximately 300 million years ago. 5 main groups of plants contributed to the formation of coal. The first 3 groups were all seedless, vascular plants, ferns, club mosses, and horsetails. The last 2 groups were primitive gymnosperms and the now extinct seed ferns. Forests of these plants were in low-lying, swampy areas that periodically flooded. When these plants died, they decomposed. But as they were covered by water, they did not decompose completely. Over a period of time the decomposed plant material accumulated and consolidated.
How many individuals are infected with HIV/AIDS?
At the end of 2009, it was estimated that 33.3 million people worldwide were living with HIV/AIDS. Adults accounted for 30.8 million cases of HIV/AIDS. 51% or million are women, and children under 15 accounted for 2.5 million cases. Since 1981, more than 25 million people have died from AIDS.
What are the odds against being struck by lightning?
The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration estimates the odds of being struck by lightning at 1 in 750,000 in a given year. However, the odds drop to 1 in 500,000 based on the number of unreported lightning strikes. The odds of being struck by lightning in one's lifetime are 1 in 6,250. During the past 30 years, there has been an average of 58 reported lightning fatalities per year.
Why are arthropods considered the most biologically successful phylum of animals?
Members of the phylum Arthropoda are characterized by jointed appendages and an exoskeleton of chitin. There are more than 1 million species of arthropods currently known to science. and many biologists believe there are millions more to be identified. Arthropods are the most biologically successful group of animals because they are the most diverse and live in a greater range of habitats than do the members of any other phylum of animals.
What does it mean to have 2020's vision?
Many people think that 2020's vision equals perfect eyesight, but it actually means that the eye can see clearly at 20 feet. 6 meters, what a normal eye can see clearly at that distance. Some people can see even better 20/15, for example. With their eyes, they can view objects from 20 feet, 6 meters. away with the same sharpness that a normal-sighted person would have to move into 15 feet, 4.5 meters, to achieve.
When did the first commercial nuclear power plant in the United States become operational?
The first commercial electricity-generating nuclear power plant in the United States was located in Shippingport, Pennsylvania. It became operational on December 2, 1957, supplying energy to the Pittsburgh area. It continued to supply power until 1982. Although the Shippingport power plant was the first large-scale nuclear power plant in the United States, it was not the first civilian power plant. A few months earlier, in July 1957, the Santa Susana sodium reactor experimental in California began providing power.
What is the color of lightning?
The atmospheric conditions determine the color of lightning. Blue lightning within a cloud indicates the presence of hail. Red lightning within a cloud indicates the presence of rain. Yellow or orange lightning indicates a large concentration of dust in the air. White lightning is a sign of low humidity in the air.
What is the role of yeast in beer production?
Beer is made by fermenting water, malt, sugar, hops, yeast, species Saccharomyces, salt, and citric acid. Each ingredient has a specific role in the creation of beer. Malt is produced from a grain, usually barley, that has sprouted, been dried in a kiln, and ground into a powder. Malt gives beer its characteristic body and flavor. Hops is made from the fruit that grows on the herb Humulus lupulus, a member of the mulberry family. The fruit is picked when ripe and is then dried. The ingredient gives beer a slightly bitter flavor. Yeast is used for the fermentation process. Making beer is a complex process. One method begins by mixing and mashing malted barley with a cooked cereal grain such as corn. This mixture, called wort, is filtered before hops is added to it. The wort is then heated until it is completely soluble. The hops is removed, and after the mixture is cooled, yeast is added. The beer ferments for 8 to 11 days at temperatures that range between 50°-70° F, 10°-21° C. The beer is then stored and kept at a state that is close to freezing. During the next few months the liquid takes on its final character before carbon dioxide is added for effervescence. The beer is then refrigerated, filtered, and pasteurized in preparation for bottling or canning.
What was the first retrovirus discovered?
Dr. Robert Gallo, 1937, discovered the first retrovirus, human T-cell lymphoma virus, HTLV. In 1979. The second human retrovirus to be discovered was human immunodeficiency virus, HIV.
What is phytoremediation?
Phytoremediation, a newer green technology, is the use of green plants to remove pollutants from the soil or render them harmless. Certain plants, such as alpine pennycress, Thalassopycera lescens, have been identified as metal hyperaccumulators. Researchers have found that these plants can grow in soils contaminated with toxic heavy metals, including cadmium, zinc, and nickel. The plants extract the toxic heavy metals from the soil and concentrate them in the stems, shoots, and leaves. These plant tissues may then be collected and disposed of in a hazardous waste landfill. Researchers are investigating ways to recover the metals by extracting them from the plants. Although phytoremediation is limited by how deep the roots of the plants grow in the soil, it is a less costly alternative way to clean up hazardous waste sites.
How do scientists know that some meteorites that were found in Antarctica came from the Moon?
Because of the high-quality reference collection of lunar rocks collected during space flights to the Moon. The original 1979 meteorite find in Antarctica and the 10 subsequent findings were verified as lunar in origin.
The venom of the brown recluse is hemolytic and causes. Do male mosquitoes bite humans?
No. Male mosquitoes live on plant juices, sugary saps, and liquids arising from decomposition. They do not have a biting mouth that can penetrate human skin as female mosquitoes do. In some species the females, who lay as many as 200 eggs, need blood to lay their eggs. These are the species that bite humans and other animals.
What percentage of salt consumed in the United States is used for de-icing roads?
In 2009, an estimated 43% of the salt, sodium chloride, consumed in the United States was used to de-ice roads. Although calcium chloride may also be effective in de-icing roads, it is not as economical.
What was the first National Science Institute?
On March 3, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln signed a congressional charter creating the National Academy of Sciences, which stipulated that the Academy shall, whenever called upon by any department of the government, investigate, examine, experiment, and report upon any subject of science or art. The actual expense of such investigations, examinations, experiments, and reports to be paid from appropriations which may be made for the purpose. But the Academy shall receive no compensation whatever for any services to the government of the United States. The Academy's first president was Alexander Dallas Back, 1806 to 1867. Today, the Academy and its sister organizations, the National Academy of Engineering, established in 1964, and the Institute of Medicine, established in 1970, serve as the country's preeminent sources of advice on science and technology and their bearing on the nation's welfare. The National Research Council was established in 1916 by the National Academy of Sciences at the request of President Woodrow Wilson, 1856 to 1924, to bring into cooperation existing governmental, educational, industrial, and other research organizations, with the object of encouraging the investigation of natural phenomena. The increased use of scientific research in the development of American industries. The employment of scientific methods in strengthening the national defense. And such other applications of science as will promote the national security and welfare. The National Academy of Sciences, the National Academy of Engineering, and the Institute of Medicine work through the National Research Council of the United States, one of the world's most important advisory bodies. More than 6,000 scientists, engineers, industrialists, and health and other professionals participating in numerous committees comprise the National Research Council.
Who discovered the antibiotic streptomycin?
The Russian-born microbiologist Selman A. Waxman, 1888 to 1973, discovered streptomycin in 1943. Streptomycin was the first antibiotic effective against tuberculosis. In 1944, Merck & Company agreed to produce it to be used against tuberculosis and tuberculosis meningitis. Streptomycin ultimately proved to have some human toxicity and was supplanted by other antibiotics. But its discovery changed the course of modern medicine. In addition to its use in treating tuberculosis, it was also used to treat bacterial meningitis, endocarditis, pulmonary and urinary tract infections, leprosy, typhoid fever, bacillary dysentery, cholera, and bubonic plague. Streptomycin saved countless lives, and its development led scientists to search the microbial world for other antibiotics and medicines. Waxman received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1952 for his discovery of streptomycin.
Are there any multiple Nobel Prize winners?
Four individuals have received multiple Nobel Prizes. They are Marie Curie, 1867 to 1934, physics in 1903, and chemistry in 1911, John Bardeen, 1908 to 1991, physics in 1956 and 1972, Linus Pauling, 1901 to 1994. Chemistry in 1954 and Peace in 1962, and Frederick Sanger, 1918, Chemistry in 1958 and 1980.
Why were Clydesdale horses used as war horses?
The Clydesdales were among a group of European horses referred to as the Great Horses, which were specifically bred to carry the massively armored knights of the Middle Ages. These animals had to be strong enough to carry a man wearing as much as 100 pounds, 45 kilograms, of armor, as well as up to 80 pounds, 36 kilograms, of armor on their own bodies. However, the invention of the musket quickly ended the use of Clydesdales and other great horses on the battlefield, as speed and maneuverability became more important than strength.
What materials are used to make the most powerful permanent magnets?
The most powerful permanent magnets are made from alloys of iron, boron, and neodymium. Magnetic strength is measured in units called Tesla and Gauss. 1 Tesla equals 10,000 Gauss. Most of the magnets used to decorate the refrigerator are 10 Gauss. The most powerful permanent magnets produce magnetic fields of approximately 1.5 Tesla.
When was gas lighting invented?
In 1799, Philippe Lebon. 1767 to 1804, patented a method of distilling gas from wood for use in a thermolamp, a type of lamp. By 1802, William Murdoch, 1754–1839, installed gas lighting in a factory in Birmingham, England. The introduction of widespread reliable interior illumination enabled dramatic changes in commerce and manufacturing.
Why are mosses important?
Some mosses are decomposers that break down the substrata and release nutrients for the use of more complex plants. Mosses play an important role in controlling soil erosion. They perform this function by providing ground cover and absorbing water. Mosses are also indicators of air pollution. Under conditions of poor air quality, few mosses will exist. Peat is used as fuel to heat homes and generate electricity. Bryophytes are among the first organisms to invade areas that have been destroyed by a fire or volcanic eruption.
What is the heat index?
The index is a measure of what hot weather feels like to the average person for various temperatures and relative humidities. Heat exhaustion and sunstroke are inclined to happen when the heat index reaches 105 degrees Fahrenheit 40 degrees Celsius. The chart below provides the heat index for some temperatures and relative humidities.
Who has spent the most time in space?
The cosmonaut, Sergei Krikalev, 1958. Has accumulated the most space flight time 803 days, 9 hours, and 39 minutes in 6 flights. The cosmonaut, Valery Polyakov, 1942. Has spent 438 consecutive days in space from January 8, 1994 to March 22, 1995.
How do sound waves differ from light waves?
Waves consist of a series of motions in regular succession carrying energy from one place to another without moving any matter. Periodic waves include ocean waves, sound waves, and electromagnetic waves. Visible light and radio waves are electromagnetic waves. Mechanical waves, such as ocean waves and sound waves, involve matter. But it is important to remember that there is no transport of matter. The water in an ocean wave does not move from one location to another, merely the energy of the wave is transported. Light waves involve only energy without matter.
What is Lamarckian evolution?
The French biologist Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck, 1744 to 1829, is credited as the first person to propose a theory that attempts to explain how and why evolutionary change occurs in living organisms. The mechanism Lamarck proposed is known as the inheritance of acquired characteristics, meaning that what individuals experience during their lifetime will be passed along to their offspring as genetic traits. This is sometimes referred to as the theory of use and disuse. A classic example of this would be the giraffe's neck. Lamarckian evolution would predict that as giraffes stretch their necks to reach higher branches on trees, their necks grow longer. As a result, this increase in neck length will be transmitted to egg and sperm such that the offspring of giraffes whose necks have grown will also have long necks. While Lamarck's idea was analytically based on available data, giraffes have long necks and give birth to offspring with long necks as well. He did not know that. In general, environmental factors do not change genetic sequences in such a direct fashion.
How is activated charcoal used medically?
Activated charcoal is an organic substance, such as burned wood or coal, that has been heated to approximately 1000 degrees Fahrenheit 537 degrees Celsius in a controlled atmosphere. The result is a fine powder containing thousands of pores that have great absorbent qualities to rapidly absorb toxins and poisons. Activated charcoal is used medically in the treatment of drug overdoses and poisonings.
How does exercise affect bone tissue?
Bone adapts to changing stresses and forces. When muscles increase and become more powerful due to exercise, the corresponding bones also become thicker and stronger through stimulation of osteoblasts. Regular exercise, especially weight-bearing exercise, maintains normal bone structure. Bones that are not subjected to normal stresses, such as an injured leg immobilized in a cast, quickly degenerate. It is estimated that unstressed bones lose up to a third of their mass after a few weeks. The adaptability of bones allows them to rebuild just as quickly when regular normal weight-bearing activity is resumed.
When was the term Web 2 first used?
The term Web 2.0 was first used in 2004 during a brainstorming conference between Tim O'Reilly, 1954, of O'Reilly Media and Media Live International. Rather than believing as some had that the web had crashed following the .com collapse, it was a turning point for the web to become a platform for collaborative effort between Internet users, providers, and enterprises.
Which countries in the world generate the most electricity using wind energy?
Denmark receives approximately 20% of its electricity from wind energy. Spain and Portugal receive over 11% of their electricity from wind energy.
What is the difference between poison ivy, oak, and sumac?
These North American woody plants grow in almost any habitat and are quite similar in appearance. Each variety of plant has three leaf compounds that alternate berry-like fruits and rusty brown stems. Poison ivy. Rus radicans, grows like a vine rather than a shrub and can grow very high. Covering tall, stationary items such as trees. The fruit of R. radicans is gray in color and is without hair, and the leaves of the plant are slightly lobed. Rus toxicodendron, commonly known as poison oak, usually grows as a shrub, but it can also climb. Its leaflets are lobed and resemble the leaves of oak trees, and its fruit is hairy. Poison sumac, Rus vernix, grows only in acidic, wet swamps of North America. This shrub can grow as high as 12 feet, 3.6 meters. The fruit it produces hangs in a cluster and ranges from gray to brown in color. Poison sumac has dark green leaves that are sharply pointed, compound, and alternating. It also has inconspicuous flowers that are yellowish-green. All parts of poison ivy, poison oak, and poison sumac can cause serious dermatitis.
Why do deep-sea divers get the bends?
Bends is a painful condition in the limbs and abdomen. It is caused by the formation and enlargement of bubbles of nitrogen in blood and tissues as a result of rapid reduction of pressure. This condition can develop when a diver ascends too rapidly after being exposed to increased pressure. Severe pain will develop in the muscles and joints of the arms and legs. More severe symptoms include vertigo, nausea, vomiting, choking, shock, and sometimes death. Bends is also known as decompression sickness, caisson disease, tunnel disease, and diver's paralysis. A variety of organisms have been shown to cause PID, including Neisseria gonorrhoeae and such. Common bacteria as Staphylococci, Chlamydia, and coliforms, Pseudomonas and Escherichia coli. Signs and symptoms of PID vary with the site of the infection, but usually include profuse purulent vaginal discharge, low-grade fever, and malaise, especially within gonorrhoeae infections, and lower abdominal pain. PID is treated with antibiotics. An early diagnosis and treatment will prevent damage to the reproductive system. Severe, untreated PID can result in the development of a pelvic abscess that requires drainage. A ruptured pelvic abscess is a potentially fatal complication. And a patient who develops this complication may require a total hysterectomy.
What three groups are included in the flatworms?
Flatworms belong to the phylum Platyhelminthes. They are flat, elongated, achylomate animals that exhibit bilateral symmetry and have primitive organs. The members of the flatworms are 1. Planar eons, 2. Flukes, and 3. Tapeworms.
How much air does a person breathe in a lifetime?
During his or her life, the average person will breathe about 75 million gallons. 284 million liters of air per minute. The human body needs 2 gallons, 7.5 liters, of air when lying down, 4 gallons, 15 liters. When sitting, 6 gallons, 23 liters, when walking, and 12 gallons, 45 liters, or more when running.
How is the rule of 70 used?
This rule is a quick way of estimating the period of time it will take a quantity to double given the percentage of increase. Divide the percentage of increase into 70. For example, if a sum of money is invested at 6% interest, the money will double in value in 76 equals 11.7 years.
Are all snowflakes shaped alike?
Some snowflakes may have strikingly similar shapes, but these twins are probably not molecularly identical. In 1986, cloud physicist Nancy Knight believed she found a uniquely cloned pair of crystals on an oil-coated slide that had been hanging from an airplane. This pair may have been the result of breaking off from a star crystal, or were attached side by side, thereby experiencing the same weather conditions simultaneously. Unfortunately, the smaller aspects of each of the snow crystals could not be studied because the photograph was unable to capture possible molecular differences. So, even if the human eye may see twin flakes, on a minuscule level these flakes are different.
What first aid measures can be used for a bite by a black widow spider?
The black widow spider, Latrodectus mactans, is common throughout the United States. Its bite is severely poisonous, but no first aid measures are of value. Age, body size, and degree of sensitivity determine the severity of symptoms, which include an initial pinprick with a dull numbing pain, followed by swelling. An ice cube may be placed over the bite to relieve pain. Between 10 and 40 minutes after the bite, severe abdominal pain and rigidity of stomach muscles develop. Muscle spasms in the extremities, ascending paralysis, and difficulty in swallowing and breathing may follow. The mortality rate is less than 1%, but anyone who has been bitten should see a doctor. The elderly, infants, and those with allergies are most at risk and may require hospitalization.
What type of high-technology material is used in space vehicles for its heat-resistant properties?
Carbon-carbon composites, CCCs, are baseline materials in high-temperature applications such as re-entry vehicle nose tips, rocket motor nozzles, and the Space Shuttle orbiter leading edges. Carbon-carbon is a non-metallic composite material made of carbon fibers in a carbon matrix having operational capabilities ranging from cryogenics to 5000 degrees Fahrenheit 2760 degrees Celsius. Numerous fiber types and weave patterns having a wide range of physical properties are available, providing flexibility in the design of carbon-carbon components. Carbon-carbon has a unique combination of lightweight, high strength, and temperature resistance.
Which are the largest and smallest muscles in the human body?
The largest muscle is the gluteus maximus, buttock muscle, which moves the thigh bone away from the body and straightens out the hip joint. It is also one of the stronger muscles in the body. The smallest muscle is the stapedius in the middle ear. It is thinner than a thread and 0.05 inches, 0.127 centimeters, in length. It activates the stirrup that sends vibrations from the eardrum to the inner ear.
How common are multiple births?
In 2007, 138,961 twins were born in the United States. This represented 3.2% of all live births, a birth ratio of 32.2 per 1,000 births. There were 5,967 triplet births, 369 quadruplet births, and 91 quintuplets and other higher-order births. In 2007, the birth rate for triplets or higher-order multiple births was 148.9 per 100,000 live births.
How much electricity does a typical American home use?
In 2008, the average monthly residential electricity consumption was 920 kilowatt-hours. More than half of the residential electricity consumption is for household appliances.
What is the significance of Darwin's finches?
In his studies on the Galapagos Islands, Charles Darwin observed patterns in animals and plants that suggested to him that species changed over time to produce new species. Darwin collected several species of finches. The species were all similar, but each had developed beaks and bills specialized to catch food in a different way. Some species had heavy bills for cracking open tough seeds. Others had slender bills for catching insects. One species used twigs to probe for insects in tree cavities. All the species resembled one species of South American finch. In fact, all the plants and animals of the Galapagos Islands were similar to those of the nearby 600 miles/1,000 kilometers away, coast of South America. Darwin felt that the simplest explanation for this similarity was that a few species of plants and animals from South America must have migrated to the Galapagos Islands. These few plants and animals then changed during the years they lived in their new home, giving rise to many new species. Evolutionary theory proposes that species change over time in response to environmental challenges.
What is the chemical composition of a skunk's spray?
The chief odorous components of the spray have been identified as crotyl mercaptan, isopentyl mercaptan, and methylcrotyl disulfide in the ratio of 4:4:3. The liquid is an oily, pale yellow, foul-smelling spray that can cause severe eye inflammation. This defensive weapon is discharged from two tiny nipples located just inside the skunk's anus, either as a fine spray or a short stream of rain-sized drops. Although the liquid's range is 6.5 to 10 feet, 2 to 3 meters. Its smell can be detected 1.5 miles, 2.5 kilometers, downwind.